Hi everyone! Welcome back to MakeNew Talks. It's really good to be back hosting on our live stream today. Thank you to Monica for covering me the past 2 weeks. and yeah, we've had some awesome stuff come through this channel these past 2 weeks. You know, with some new faces, with some good news last week. I hope you guys watching at home really enjoyed changing it up a bit. Again, to introduce myself, my name is Elise, and I'm one of the staff at MakeNew. And today we have MakeNew Talks, where we try to have candid conversation over topics that have to do with Christian life, what it's like to be in college, and more. And so it's kind of crazy. This week is the last week of July, and I don't know how you guys feel as we hit the first day of August, but this summer has been flying by, and with COVID and quarantine, it unfortunately doesn't stop the reality that school is going to start for you guys in a few weeks. And so today we want to share some of our folks' experiences and what they wish they knew in their first year of college. And so for those who are heading into your first year of college, I hope this is helpful. And today we'll do this a little differently, where we'll show you actually videos of the different sharings that our friends have for each different prompting question that we have. And after each video, there will be or during the video, there will be actually a question for you to answer in the chat and with each other as you guys think about, yeah, what you just heard and what it makes you feel, or even like as it addresses the different thoughts you have right now as we head into the new year. And so let's practice. So let's start with an icebreaker question using some emojis. And I see a lot of you guys are already using a ton of them. So what is an emoji to describe your first year of college? Or if you are a freshman or a transfer this upcoming year yourself, what's an emoji that you're feeling right now as you think about your first year of college? So give you guys some time to think about that. I think for me and how I felt my first year of college, I was really excited. Yeah, I was pretty stoked to be at college away from family, but at the same time, I really miss them, like really back and forth. I think I also felt worried. I was taking 16 units for my first quarter or semester of college, and that was like a really bad idea. But Yeah, it's really cool to see what you guys are answering. Thankful to see everyone here. Okay. So, as you guys continue to answer, I think there are a lot of thoughts and emotions around this new school year, as not only Mason, but schools and universities all over the country, they're making decisions that greatly impact you guys, the current student population, but particularly the incoming class of 2024. I don't know if you guys have friends or family members who are incoming freshmen to college, but I think it must be pretty unprecedented times for them. So today we have a couple people sharing their thoughts and experiences on what they wish they knew in their first year of college. And it's all to help you first years in college and even to those who are currently in school, as it can be helpful for you to know that, yeah, you're not alone and to look back at your first year in college and think about how you'd answer these questions. For the upperclassmen, if you have any thoughts and helpful advice and experiences that you have to offer to the underclassmen, please write that in the chat. Anything that comes to mind that you think would be helpful for them in their transition to college. Because even later, when this live stream gets saved, other people might come upon it and it might help people later too. So, we're going to go ahead and start with who will be sharing today. So we're going to introduce our panel for today. So first we have Michaela. She is a second year student at Mason studying nursing. So for all you nursing folk out there, yeah, put some raised hands in the chat if you're studying nursing. And then we have Matt, who is a third year Mason student studying computer science. I know there's a lot of computer science people at Mason, and so um, yeah, I have a lot of friends. And then we have Maggie, who is actually a post grad currently working at George Washington University in DC. She, as well as the next person we'll introduce, is part of our ministry called Inner High. And we've had some of those folks on our channel before, and they currently minister to youth kids in the area who are part of churches that are unable, who don't have the means to provide a youth pastor in their group. And so she helps with that. And then we have Austin, who is actually an electrical engineer at a company based in Arlington, Virginia. And so for all of you engineering folk out there, if you ever have any questions, Mr. Austin would love to answer them. And finally, as we always do, we have Pastor Will, who leads our MakeNew group at Mason. And so he will come on in a few seconds. Yeah.
Hey, Elise.
Hi, it's good to see
Glad
you,
to be
Pastor
back.
Will. Yeah.
I'm really liking the topic today.
Hmm.
I wish that we could have them have more people on, but looks like this will have to do. But it's good.
Hmm.
It's good. I like this. I like Thursdays. I like being with everyone and doing this. So yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, I'm excited for a different format. We'll see how it goes and see what we need to change later. But um, so we're going to start with some fun stories. I'm sure everybody's had many embarrassing stories in their lives. We've all taken a lot of L's, and it's things that we've all gone through. So we're actually going to watch a video on some of the embarrassing stories that our friends have experienced in their first year at college.
An embarrassing moment in my first year in college was getting lost on orientation. The lights were off and it's pretty dark out, so where it took like 2 minutes to find the dorm, it took me like 10 or 15.
So an embarrassing story would be from when I was in my freshman year in college. At this point, I was going to bed at like 1 or 2 a.m. and then my friend asked me, "Hey, Austin, do you want to go fishing?" And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like fun. I've never been fishing before." And I was like, "What time?" And he said 6 a.m. And I was like, "Oh, no, thank you." I was about ready. It was coming around 2 a.m. and I was getting ready to go to bed. And I started, I was like, "Oh, I'll just watch this episode of this TV show." And then I watched and I was like, "Wow, that episode was so good. Such a great episode." And then I was like, "Okay, maybe I'll watch one more." And then one more, and then one more. And then I ended up watching, 8 episodes of like prestige television, 1 hour per episode. And then, I look outside and like the sun is coming up and it's like 5:30 a.m. and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go fishing. And then that was the first time I went fishing in college.
One embarrassing thing that I did my freshman year is I tried auditioning for an a cappella group, but I can't really sing. And so in the middle of my audition, I just froze. And I couldn't sing, I couldn't do anything, and then I just started crying. And then the girls tried being nice, but after I left, because they said, "Oh, like, don't call us, we'll call you." They never called.
Those are some fun stories. Thankful. Pastor, do you have any funny stories from your first year of college or embarrassing stories? Oh, sorry, Pastor, you're on.
Yeah, I do. I can share something.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
All right, are we on?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we are
Oh,
on.
okay. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
is it my turn?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay,
It's okay.
well, embarrassing story that I had my freshman year in college. Okay, so I signed up for an Asian American Studies class, and I looked for the classroom in this building that was like a maze. And
My biggest fear for going to my first year of college was not making friends and just staying alone in my dorm.
One of my biggest concerns when I was a freshman in college was, am I going to fit in? Am I going to make any friends? And am I just going to end up by myself all 4 years of college, sad and alone, and walk away with no friends?
My biggest fear going into college was that I would have no friends and I would just be alone in my room all the time.
The biggest fears going into college was that I wouldn't be able to find any friends. I didn't know anyone going to GMU. I had a totally random roommate, and I am very much an introvert, so it kind of felt like all the odds were stacked against me. But GMU has a lot of opportunities to get to know people, and within the first week, I was already plugged into a Christian group on campus. So there's really not too much to worry about. Even with everything being mostly virtual this coming semester, they're still going to have a lot of virtual events you can check out to find different clubs and organizations.
and I think I found it. So
Oh,
I opened the
sorry, Pastor
door.
Will. It
The
looks like
teacher.
the audio's still not working.
Oh, the audio is still not working.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Oh, it
okay.
is.
Am I on?
I think so. Okay, I think we have to try to get.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, the audio's not working. But
Okay, well, it's one of those days. There's lightning outside, so who knows? Maybe it's nature. But anyways, an embarrassing story was in my first week of class. I was looking for my Asian American Studies class, and I went to this building which was notorious for being a maze, and so people got lost there frequently. And so I went in. I was already late. I thought I found the class. I opened the door. The teacher was speaking in French, right? And as soon as I opened the door, everyone looked at me, and I asked, "Is this Asian American Studies?" And then they all laughed at me, and I was like one of those cartoon figures with my head turning into a sucker. I felt really embarrassed because obviously it wasn't. Um, but that was that. I think my biggest fear was failing my first midterm. My first midterm, I still remember. It was my math midterm. It was calculus. I took 2 years of calculus in high school, so I thought this should be a breeze. So I studied a lot, and then I sat down. The midterm was handed to me. I looked at it and I blanked out for 5 minutes, and I couldn't do the first problem. And that was really scary. And then after the anxiety wore off, I got my mind back, and then I was able to finish the midterm.
Oh, it's terrifying. I hear of people growing who get older, even though they graduate college, they have nightmares of missing their finals or nightmares of not waking
Yeah.
up in time for their finals. And I think
Yeah.
it's happened to a lot of people.
Well, to this day, I have nightmares that I'm about to graduate, and my counselor tells me that I forgot to take a course, or I'm like 3 units short
Oh
of
dear.
graduation, and so I can't graduate. Or I signed up for a class that I thought I dropped, but I didn't drop it, and I'm on the hook for like 2 midterms and a paper, and it's like 3 weeks left of school.
Oh, so scary.
Yeah, it still haunts me to this day.
Yeah. I think it's crazy how fears like it even enters our dreams. And
Yeah. So I mean, if there's talk in the society these days that colleges might, people might not go to college because it's really expensive, and there's with COVID and everything. So maybe if people opt out of college, there will be less nightmares in the future for many people, and that might not be such a bad thing.
that is true. Less nightmares. 'Cause I guess you don't have to go anywhere for your finals anymore. You just have to wake up, roll out
Yeah,
of bed, and log
you
on.
just have to go to work. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. But I think it's interesting. A lot of the fears that I think our panelists shared was a lot on like not making friends, being alone, and being stuck in their dorm. But it's kind of like what's gonna happen this year because everyone is by themselves in the dorms. Um, but I think it's good to know that you're at least not alone. Like other people have the same fears, and we all are worried about making friends. Um, but at the same time, college has a lot of unexpected surprises for us too. I think a lot of us find that our original notions of college are not all that they seemed, or things that might have looked daunting or intimidating were actually not that bad at all. And we have different expectations that we expect college life to be, and it's interesting to see what changes you actually get to go through. So, in our next video, we're going to show how the panelists have experienced these surprises in college, and how those expectations either went the way they thought or they didn't, and as well as some of the students will also share on how they experienced the surprise of COVID in their lives and how that affected the ways that they experienced college their spring semester.
Something that surprised me in my first year of college was how open people were. In high school, it just felt a lot more good to actually hang out with people out of school, but here in college, it seems to be the general theme to hang out with people out of school, so that makes it a lot easier to actually meet people and have friends.
One thing I found surprising about college life was how quickly I got tired of the dorm food, or like the living hall food. The first time I ate, I was like, oh, this is pretty great. I probably won't get tired of this for at least half a year. I was tired of it in like a month and a half.
I was really surprised that I didn't become really good friends with my floor mates. I assumed that living in a dorm that we would all bond, that we would all become really good friends, like friends for life, that we keep in contact after we graduated college. But I actually never really was able to connect with any of them. They were all nice, we never really became friends, and even after our freshman year when we all moved into apartments, we never kept in contact.
One thing that I found most surprising about college life was just how easy it was to get the hang of it. Obviously, the workload is harder than in high school, but honestly, within the first few weeks, I was already getting into the swing of things. I could find my way almost anywhere on campus. So it's definitely not something you need to stress about. As for college during COVID, I'll be honest, it was really tough for me doing all my classes online at home. I'm a very easily distracted person, and I tend to lose my motivation very easily. So not having an actual class to go to definitely worsened that for me. So one tip that I would say for just staying on task if you have online classes and trying to keep things relatively normal is if you have an online class that doesn't have a specific class time, I would recommend you set aside 2 to 3 times a week and pretend that that's your class time. That way you'll have more regular work done in that class and it'll feel more like you have a structure.
College during COVID has been a lot harder. The classes have been a lot less engaging and more inconvenient, and there's some people I haven't seen in a while, but what makes it easier is just finding ways to virtually connect with people. So using Discord, Zoom, and just looking for online activities to do.
All right. So, yeah, I thought college was going to be a piece of cake. I thought I get to slide through the academics and have more fun, but I'm actually a major procrastinator and have a terrible work ethic. But I also found out that I hated science and I was in a hardcore science major. So it was unexpected that I was going to switch majors in the middle of my college career, too. But even in the midst of these surprises, whether it's positive or negative, I think there was a lot of opportunities for growth. And I hope that this is something that you'd still want for yourself as you enter into college. And even for those who are watching who are in college, like there's still a lot of room to grow. There's a lot of time to grow. And so, despite the nature of education this year with everything going virtual, I don't think we should write off growth as something that won't happen just because we can't meet face to face. There's still a lot that we can learn, and from our friends' experiences, and as Christians, they've invested in the larger questions of life and in their faith to really experience growth in their first year of college. So let's hear how they experienced that.
My freshman year, I didn't really grow my relationship with God. I was too busy trying to do the college thing, hanging out with friends, trying out new clubs, just trying to reinvent myself. Fortunately, I did have connections with people who did prioritize God, and those people continued to reach out to me even though it wasn't necessarily something I wanted. They didn't give up. And it was through those people that God was able to work, and I eventually came around.
My freshman year, I came into college not sure if I was actually a Christian. So as I actually started attending Bible studies regularly every week and church every week, which is something I had never done before, I began to see a lot of truths and see with clarity that I actually wasn't a Christian, which resulted in really wanting to know what it actually means to be a Christian. And through a lot of Bible study, a lot of conversations with different people, I was able to see who God was, who I was accurately, and to be able to make a salvation decision to actually become a Christian and continue to grow through reading my Bible and starting to do devotions every day.
So one way that I've really seen my relationship with God growing in college is in my boldness. I used to never really want to talk about my faith, but joining a Christian fellowship has really changed that. There's just something about being with other people who share your faith that really motivates you to step out and share that faith with others. Of course, I'm in MakeNew, a Christian fellowship on campus at GMU, and they have a lot of opportunities for outreach and community service and things like that. And GMU has a whole lot of other Christian groups that you can check out if you're interested.
Something that helped my relational growth with God was just devoting more time to know who He was. When I only went to Sunday service, I didn't really keep the lessons of who God was with me. But spending more time with my peers to learn who God was throughout the week definitely helped.
Yeah, thankful for all the ways that our panelists experienced growth and just the different things they got to experience in their first year and the ways that they got to share what they wish they knew in their first year. And so before we end and before we end today's live stream, just wanted to give Pastor Will some time and some parting words to give us in regards to what he wants to share with us in terms of what in regards to the topic of what I wish I knew in our first year of college.
Okay, well, what I wish I knew before I entered college, well, that's a lot of things. And that'll take me more than the 10 minutes that I'm allowed, but I'll try to keep it to 10 minutes. Okay, so what I wish I knew before I entered college. First, I wish I knew myself better. I wish I knew my strengths and weaknesses because I didn't know my strengths and weaknesses. I think I ended up picking the wrong major. I majored in business and economics, which I enjoyed, but I realized, knowing myself now, that I'm more of a computer science guy, or I'm more of a nerd. I like studying things, and I just like diving into things. Business and economics, I mean, that sets you up for a career path in which you talk to people, you make deals, and you do all that interaction. And for me, that's a little too stressful than what I think I would enjoy. And so, had I known myself better, I think I would have picked a better major, and I think it would have, yeah, led to a better career choice, I think. But the important lesson is this: if you talk to a lot of adults, I think most of them end up doing something that they didn't major in college. And so it's not too late to change. And so I think that's the good news. But then it kind of begs the question, well, why major in something anyways? Well, you got to choose something, but chances are, most likely actually, that you'll have some type of career change. The second thing that I wish I really knew was I wish I really knew what I wanted in life. Okay. Um, because I didn't know what I really wanted, I ended up doing everything that everyone else was doing. And what was everyone else doing? Well, they were studying hard in high school. They were going to college. They were getting internships, and that set them off on a path to get a job, go to grad school, get married, buy a house, have kids, and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then you're kind of on this treadmill, and you kind of don't know why you're doing this. Um, Another thing is this: because I ended up doing what everyone else is doing, I also ended up watching what everyone else is watching. Back when I was in high school, there was no internet or anything like that, or at least it wasn't accessible by the common people. So we just watched a lot of TV, went to a lot of movies. And so I ended up watching what everyone else is watching, and that taught us what happiness was. If you watch these movies, see these TV shows or advertisements, they're actually selling us a worldview on how to be happy. And how do you be happy? Well, you're going to have a lot of fun. You have to have romance. You have to have a lot of pleasure, minimize pain. You have to have a lot of stuff, meaning a lot of material goods, and you have to have a lot of wonderful experiences. And so I bought into that, just like everyone else bought into that. But then the thing is that those things that you end up buying into, they don't lead to happiness, but they lead to dissatisfaction. It's really weird because these advertisements, they say if you have this, then you'll be happy, because that's on the advertisement. Happy person with the really good smartphone or the really wonderful car or on the vacation. But then you and I know that as soon as you get whatever it is that you're thinking will deliver happiness, at the end of that, a few days or even a few weeks after that, you're not happy. In fact, you're dissatisfied. And so at the end of all these really wonderful things, it's not happiness, but it's dissatisfaction. And I wish that I knew what I really wanted in life, because if I did, then I think I would have spared myself in going on that path. The third thing is that I really wish I knew that feedback was good. Okay, this is really important. I wish I knew that feedback was good. Back when I was in high school, I didn't want to know the truth about myself. I wanted I wanted to know just the good things about myself. I wanted to hear compliments. I wanted to feel good. And, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But then if you just do that by taking in the good stuff or pretending that you're all this good stuff, but then there's all this bad stuff about you that's negative and you don't get that feedback, then the problem is that you're not going to improve. And so when I was in high school, I wanted to feel good. I wanted to think that I was awesome. And in order for me to accomplish that, I had to avoid feedback from other people. And so instead of seeking feedback, I avoided it. And this is not a good mindset, because you cannot improve as a person. You cannot improve in terms of your academic skills or social skills or career skills or even your character skills. You're just going to be the same, or you'll probably just evolve in all those things. The fourth thing, and this is the last thing that I'll talk about, and this is the most important as I think back on my college, high school days. I wish I knew the truth about whether or not the universe had meaning. Okay, that's the most fundamental thing. I wish I knew the truth about whether or not the universe had meaning. Okay, so back when I was in high school, at the time, I didn't think it did. I didn't think there was meaning to the universe. And to be honest, at the time, I didn't care because all I knew is that I thought I had a bright future, and that future was going to make me happy. It was going to make me happy by doing all the things that I talked about. But I came to understand that a life without meaning is a life without purpose. And if a life without meaning is a life without purpose, then I question all my efforts to get what I wanted, because I was working hard in college, I was working hard in high school. But then if there's no meaning in life and if there's no purpose in life, then why the heck am I working really hard if there's no purpose or if there's no meaning if at the end there's absolutely nothing? And I couldn't answer that question. Friedrich Nietzsche, I think everyone here knows him, the German philosopher, he actually said this. He said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Okay? He who has a why, in other words, if you have a reason to live, you can bear almost any how. In other words, you can endure any work or any toil or labor in order to accomplish that. And so for me, I didn't have a why. I didn't have the purpose. I didn't have the meaning. And so my junior year in college, I hit a bit of a crisis, just existentially or just as a person. I could not go on with life because there was no meaning, there was no purpose. Why am I working so hard? And I couldn't resolve that based upon my worldview of, there's no meaning, purpose, and everything. Just be happy. And that wasn't a good enough reason for me to continue on. But then, thankfully, that's when I discovered God. That's when I discovered that God exists and that Jesus is the Son of God, and that the teachings of the Bible and Jesus are valid and true because I believe the person of Jesus, the resurrection, and all of that. So we're not going to go into that Bible study. But then looking back, as I have lived out my Christian life over the past 30 years, the teachings of Jesus and the Bible, they're true because they have power. And they have power in two senses. First, they have explanatory power in the sense that why it explains the Bible and the teachings of Jesus. They explain why the world is the way that it is. It has a lot of good stuff, but then there's bad stuff too. The best explanation is that it's a good thing that has gone bad. The world is fallen, so we see traces of that. And then it has the explanation for why I am the way that I am. I'm capable of doing good stuff. I'm capable of doing bad stuff. I have longings in this world that nothing in this world can seem to satisfy. I long for eternity. I'm a physical being, but then I have spiritual needs that physical things can't satisfy. And so the Bible explains all of that. And so it has explanatory power. But then second, it also has power to help me live an abundant life, okay? An abundant life, not just life as in biology, right? Because you just need food and water and clothing and all of that. But then it has power, the Word of God, the Bible, Jesus' teaching has power for me to live an abundant life. In other words, it enables me to experience love and relationships, and it frees me up from anything that could possibly derail those two things, right? So it tells me that life is all about love. It's all about relationships. And we know that because at the end of our lives, no one is going to want to spend more time in the office. No one's going to wish they did that, this or that. They're going to wish that they spent more time with people, or they're going to have a lot of regrets about some of the decisions that they made. And so life is about love. It's about relationships. The Bible teaches us that. And not only does it teach us that, but it gives us the power to live that out. And so the thing is that had I had known this earlier, then I would have saved a lot of time, I think, from living a life filled with mistakes and consequences of those mistakes. I pursued activities and things that were, in the end, not fruitful or beneficial to anyone. And so I could have saved a lot of time from pursuing that kind of life, and I could have lived that kind of life better, living and spending more time in God's kingdom rather than my own, right? The kingdom of God is much better than my own kingdom. And had I known that, I would have had more time in God's kingdom. I do want to end by sharing a Bible passage with all of you that kind of maybe touches upon or reflects some of the sentiments that I just talked about. It's from Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 1 through 11. It says the following: The words of the preacher, the son of David, king of Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities. All is vanity. In other words, another translation says, meaningless, meaningless, everything is meaningless. That's what vanity means. Verse 3, what does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hastens to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Around and round goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they flow again. All things are full of weariness. A man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done. And there is nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which it is said, see, this is new? It has already been in the ages before us. There is no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of later things yet to be among those who come after. And so this is a powerful verse because, this is penned by Solomon, who was filled with wisdom. Later on, he shares about how wisdom is meaningless because he gained all the wisdom and knowledge that's out there. And in a verse later on, he says that he applied his heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. And then he perceived that striving for wisdom, even that ultimately is meaningless. And then he talks about pleasure. Like he's a king, okay? This is weird. He had 700 wives, okay, wives and concubines. Anyways, he said in chapter 2, I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself. And so he experienced all the pleasures in the world. And behold, he says, this too is vanity. It's all meaningless. So wisdom is meaningless. Pleasure is meaningless. And then he talks about toil, like hard work. Like he says, what has a man from all the toil and striving of his heart, which he toils beneath the sun? For his days are full of sorrow, and his work is vexation. Even in the night, his heart does not rest. This also is vanity. This also is meaningless. And so wisdom, pleasure, toil, he's experienced it all. He's experienced everything under the sun, and he says that everything is meaningless. And so if you read this, it's kind of a depressing book. So if you take it for him, if you take his wisdom, then you can just conclude that everything's meaningless. And without God, it ultimately is, because this is all just one freak accident. There was evolution, but then ultimately we're just going to go down to the grave. No one's going to remember any wonderful thing that happened on this earth. No one's going to remember anything that you did. And it's really just purposeless if you think about that. And so what does he conclude at the end? He says in Ecclesiastes 12:13, he says, the end of the matter, all has been heard. In other words, I talked about everything. He says this, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. And so the word duty there, it's another word for purpose. What's the purpose of man? It's to fear God. Now, it's not to fear God as in like, oh, shoot, God's going to condemn me and let's run away, run away, run away. It's not like that. But fear in the sense that honoring God, let's just translate it like that. This is the whole purpose of man. It's to honor God, and it's to give thanks to him. Because we see that in Romans 1. Paul talks about this in Romans 1. Give thanks to God, honor him as God, and then and then pledge yourself to him. Because if you give thanks to God and honor him, the best thing that you can do is pledge your allegiance to him. And if you pledge your allegiance to him, then you are connected relationally to the only person who could save you from your sins, to the only person who can save you from death, to the only person who can give you eternal life, and the only person who can make sense of your life. You're connected relationally to a spiritual power through a relationship of love that can help you with all your anxieties, with all your emptiness, with all your loneliness. God can get into deep places in your heart that no one can. Only God can do that. And the other thing is this: keep his commandments, right? His commandments, you think, or a lot of people think, God's a slave driver, none of this, none of that. It's all rules. You better do this or else I'm going to condemn you with the lightning bolt. That's not the case at all. If you read the Bible, if you take time to read the Bible and understand the heart behind the commandments, these commandments, they're designed to what? They're designed to help you to live a life according to love, according to help you love people, to help you forgive people, to help you serve others, and to help you remember that everyone's made in the image of God. And this is so important these days because there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of hatred. Boy, people are capable of doing and saying things that treats other people like they mean nothing, that they are scum of the earth or something like that. And we have to remember, no, everyone's made in the image of God. We might be superficially different. We all look different, but then deep down inside, we're made in God's image. Because of that, you're my brother, you're my sister. And so if we keep his commandments, the commandments of God, they tell us wonderful things. And if we all obeyed them, if we all obey the commandments that Jesus talks about in the New Testament, as well as Paul, then I really do think that we could really experience the kingdom of God here on earth. And so these verses, yeah, they tell us, or they suggest us that the purpose, if we can just really get this down, is to know God and to live according to his commandments. And I think that'll set you off on the right path. And I really wish that I knew that before I entered college. Elise?
Thank you, Pastor Will. Yeah, so I hope all of you watching are encouraged by what you heard today, and get to leave with feeling like, yeah, you're not alone, and just the exhortations that Pastor Will gave in terms of going into this new school year. And so with that is our Make New Talks, and as usual, we have announcements. So last week, Monica announced the Acts 2 Campus Network Conference that's been happening last weekend, but actually there's another one, session 2, starting tomorrow. So it's not too late to sign up. You totally still can. The topic is in leadership in a changing world, which focuses on tackling issues in an ever-changing world. And so, yeah, really hope you can sign up. It's an opportunity to connect with other like-minded colleges nationwide, get equipped with techniques on how to be an effective leader, attend leadership workshops, and work on projects to apply your new skills. And so you'll see the link in the chat or in the description below of the website and a way to sign up. And 2, we're going to be back here again next Thursday for another Make New Talks. And so hopefully we get to highlight more Mason students so you can connect to each other virtually and know that indeed you are not alone in this crazy time that we're living in. So like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content from us. And in the next following weeks, we'll be rolling out hopefully more content for you as we get closer to the fall. And we hope you can continue to join us as we enter into the fall together. And another reminder is to join us for our post time after this live stream ends. It's a way for you to, connect with us face to face as much as we can with COVID and everything. And so hope you can find that link down below in the description too. And if you want to get to connected to us, whether it's our online services, all of our socials, and more, please head to our website in the description or in the chat. If you want the most up-to-date information on our events that we're having, please go ahead and also sign up for our newsletter, which will be circulating in the chat as well. So, okie dokes, I think that's all we have for today. And so I will see you all next week. It was really good seeing you guys in the chat.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.